20 years ago, Peter Thiel was off the heels of selling PayPal for $1.5 billion. He then launched Palantir Technologies and became one of Facebook's largest investors. Today, we know him as one of the wealthiest people in the world, but more importantly, as arguably the most influential political voices behind the scenes. He's funded pretty much the entire Republican Party, has maintained deep relationships with Trump, propped up J.D. Vance's entire career, and has connections to almost every tech oligarch in this country. Along with this, his vested companies and firms have spent billions in lobbying money to change laws and regulations in his favor. He's also well known for this soundbite.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
Yes?
I don't know. I would,
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit in this.
Should the human race survive?
Simply put, Peter Thiel has his hands everywhere, and he has devoted his life to garnering as much power and influence as he can. But there's a crucial piece of information in his past I left out. It wasn't just PayPal he was up to. This is almost never mentioned because there has been a complete information silo for decades, and only now are we starting to understand its scope. It's a small, secretive organization named Dialogue. Dialogue isn't just an organization. It's quite literally, by definition, a secret society. Now, I understand the random YouTube internet guy feigning secret society doesn't have a good track record. Because of their secretive nature, secret societies are ripe with internet conspiracy theories backed by little to no evidence. I find baseless conspiracy theories particularly harmful, as they greatly distract from the established material systems and people that do measurable harm. It turns real systems into amorphous, almost religious-like deities that are impossible to name. This is precisely why conspiracy theories have grown exponentially amongst the global right wing, but that's a topic for another video. To the point, it's important to note secret societies are real. They have existed for centuries, including the Bilderberg Group, Freemasons, Skull and Bones, the Shabtai Society, even the Ku Klux Klan could be considered a secret society. But what makes Dialogue unique isn't just its recency, but how incredibly far-reaching its presence truly is. So, what is Dialogue? This is where stuff gets weird, and it's worth noting there's some strange connections to be made that almost all reporting on this topic miss. By the end of the video, it should be pretty clear what is going on here. Truth is, we are still missing needed details around how Dialogue functions, but we can take a page from older, established secret societies. On the record, they talk about things deemed vital to society: economics, politics, philosophy, what have you, and they go off into their organizations, influencing them with their new-found consensus. Most media and publications describe Dialogue in the same way, but there's some evidence to suggest that's not exactly nor entirely what is going on, at least in the same way. Here's why. First, let's look at some of the earliest bits of information about Dialogue. In August of 2025, Axios reported Dialogue was planning a purchase outside of Washington, D.C. to become a permanent headquarters and campus of sorts. A day later, Rachel Jones reported that land was actually purchased in the DC area, alongside an analyst from the NATO Defense College Foundation, Gerardo Spagnuolo, did state, Dialogue is preparing the transition from its nomadic phase to an institutional one. By the end of 2026, the opening of a permanent campus in Virginia, mere minutes from Langley and the Pentagon, will mark the advanced merger between the Thiel Foundation and the Deep State. Whether or not this source is credible, an analyst affiliated with a NATO think tank may have information privy to dialogue, but I am personally still skeptical of this location. While certainly not impossible for an organization such as Dialogue, Langley and the location of the Pentagon is saturated real estate. While we don't have a concrete location where they plan to build, I think we do have some ideas where a campus will likely end up. According to Axios' source, we know the discussion was limited to Virginia, and they said it was directed to the outer suburbs. My guess would be along the I-66 corridor around Fauquier County. While further from DC, this county is extremely close to Dulles International Airport. As stated, anything east of here is allocated to existing housing, nature reserves, and the federal government. Yet, west of here is a bit more open, drivable to DC, yet private enough for most prying eyes, and perhaps most important of all, an existing epicenter of old Virginian money. But like many things regarding Dialogue, we are in the dark, and we have heard little since. That was until a leak occurred. Now, a secret cabal of wealthy people might portray a dismal frame of how society is ran, but Farmkind might instill some genuine hope. It has for me. Farmkind is a small non-profit, a group of good Samaritans who are helping make the sourcing of our food far more ethical and humane. And as this audience knows, the living conditions and treatment of animals that feed us is quite terrible. In my opinion, it's one of the largest moral failures of modern society. Farmkind, with the help of your donations, funds grassroots charities on the ground working to create better living conditions, create safer, environmentally friendly practices that benefit every living creature on Earth. Farmkind is 100% grant funded, which means every cent of your donation goes to charities. You can rest easy knowing Farmkind is not a middleman that takes anything from you. What's really cool here is Farmkind is matching 50% of every donation going their way. Consider making the world a cleaner, more ethical, kind place with farmkind.giving/epoch philosophy. On June 15th of 2026, a leak was released by the hacktivist Maya Arson, also known as Tilly Cotman. Many may know her from the Verkada hack and leaking the US's no-fly list. This resulted in the United States indicting her on conspiracy, wire fraud, and identity theft. But this time, she was tipped off about Dialogue's website containing embedded JavaScript code that showed what was completely secret members of Dialogue. And the list here is absolutely insane. Here it is: Ezra Klein, Ted Cruz, Cory Booker, Jared Polis, Reid Hoffman, Peter Attia, Sam Harris, Jared Kushner, Elon Musk, Scott Bessent, Brian Johnson, Eric Schmidt, and Wes Moore. Even Jeffrey Epstein might have been involved, and was a part of their email list. I'll leave sources and information in the description. Now, we don't exactly know whether these are technically members or guests of their events, but in some respects, we also don't know if there is a difference. What is known is that this is a staggering amount of wealthy, influential, and powerful people. The breadth of people on this list also seems contradictory. Republican Senator Ted Cruz and Democratic Senator Cory Booker. Liberal commentator Ezra Klein alongside Scott Bessent, Trump's Treasury Secretary. When leaks such as this emerge, it explodes the notion of coherent moral principles amongst the upper or ruling classes. Or rather, that class, power, wealth is the principle that gels these people together. It's the belief system that stands above everything. Your faith, your moral disposition. Nothing stands in front of the mighty dollar and the power it exercises. So, what does Dialogue talk about? Well, We know they are planning their 2026 retreat from August 12th to August 16th. It was rumored to be someplace around Dublin, but shortly after the initial leak, Powers Court Estate in Ireland, a classic historical Irish estate, came out with a statement that it was made aware that the Powers Court Hotel would be the location of Dialogue's retreat, and that, quote, the estate wishes to unreservedly state that if it was within their remit, they would cancel the event planned. Now, further onto the leaks, the topics were exposed, and the actual topics paint a really weird picture. Money does buy happiness. It's fun to be in charge. Bring back nuclear. Navigating World War III. Battlefield technologies. And how's your sex life? If this isn't weird enough, get ready. Build a party, which will be headed by a former, unnamed national security official in the US government. But the last may be the most fitting. Build a cult, headed by Steve Gattina, the founder of the Christian social networking site Pray.com. You couldn't make this up even if you tried. There's also another odd part of Dialogue that was revealed. Dialogue also acts as a matchmaker for wealthy, affluent individuals, people in the upper echelons of society. For Dialogue registrants, they gathered information around whether they are, quote, looking for love, a single man or single woman. They also gathered more sensitive information, such as one's political leanings, which Dialogue stated that, quote, will not be shared in the app or with other participants ever. This information was stored in an Airtable cloud database, which was exposed in the leak. Now, how might you get into Dialogue? The most obvious answer is to, well, have a lot of money, or power, or perhaps do something exceptionally interesting in the eyes of other wealthy people. But the process has been revealed. In 2022, Andrew Gelman, a professor of statistics and political science at Columbia, was invited to Dialogue. He detailed in his blog that he received an invite that would cost him a whopping $16,846. He declined. In this latest leak, it was shown Josh Brolin was invited by former Uber CEO and billionaire Ryan Graves. Brolin's application went as followed. I grew up on a horse farm, climbed parts of Everest, given Academy Awards, been nominated, written a book, had former poet laureates reach out, been friends with the greatest artists of our time, and smoked crack under a car at 3 a.m. in San Francisco. You can see he likely didn't take this too seriously. Dialogue actually grades these applications, because of course they do, and Dialogue graded Brolin's application as a C. A Brolin spokesperson told The Hollywood Reporter that he would like to know what the fuck he got himself into. Now, this is all well and fun, but the absurdity of Dialogue's organization lightens what is a possibly very dangerous project. Here's where stuff does get a bit scary. In November of 2025, a small Pakistani outlet, News Shoes, reported that Dialogue sent a delegation of its members to meet with Pakistan's Federal Minister for Finance and Revenue. This story went under the radar. Now, why would Dialogue send a delegation? It was reported that the finance minister was looking for energy restructuring, privatization of state-owned enterprises, and to further integrate technology and AI-based monitoring into their systems. Things individuals in Dialogue would like. Now, the individuals in Dialogue's delegation is definitely concerning. Simon Stevens, member of UK's House of Lords, Himanshu Gulati, member of Norway's Parliament, Veet Dengler, member of Austria's Parliament and publishing CEO, and Yasmin Green, CEO of Google's Jigsaw division. Google's Jigsaw is a whole entire video topic, but to give a quick overview, Based in New York City, Jigsaw is dedicated to understanding global challenges and applying technological solutions, from countering extremism, online censorship, and cyber attacks to protecting access to information. This delegation from Dialogue is very explicit. High-ranking individuals in government and large influential companies, particularly those concerned with information. If you're watching this video, your own members of government may be meeting with foreign governments on behalf of a secret society. That's absolutely insane. It's disturbing enough Dialogue is proposing a headquarters near Washington, D.C. after Trump's 2024 election win, looking to influence American policy akin to a secret lobbying apparatus. This very delegation in Pakistan signals that Dialogue has larger international aims. This is precisely what media outlets aren't talking about. Further, the fact that they sent an official delegation means they aren't just interested in bolstering its members and organizations they are part of, but of Dialogue itself. But if that's the case, if Dialogue has its own aspirations, what might those aspirations be? Well, we still don't completely know. There's a number of things it could be, but I'll give you my best idea. Dialogue's co-founder is the key. That's Aaron Hoffman. Hoffman received most of his fortune as one of the original players in the data industry. Throughout Hoffman's entire career, his companies all share one giant characteristic: massive violations in privacy and of other platforms' terms of service. Hoffman co-founded Rapleaf with an angel investment from Thiel himself. Rapleaf was a marketing data company where they were caught scraping social media sites such as Facebook and MySpace, and then selling said data to third parties and advertisers, all before data scraping was a common industrial practice. Throughout Hoffman's career, he's only doubled down on this business model, and later co-founded one of the creepiest companies few have heard of, SafeGraph, a data company specializing in location tracking and intelligence. They offered an SDK kit for developers to embed SafeGraph's tracking software onto third-party applications. SafeGraph siphoned this data and sold it indiscriminately to governments, to people, to any organization. They even sold location data of individuals coming to and from Planned Parenthood after the Supreme Court struck down Roe v. Wade. SafeGraph was subsequently banned from Android's Google Play Store. But why am I telling you this? Well, in a prior video, we connected Doge and the Trump administration's hacking and seizure of databases belonging to independent agencies such as United States Social Security Administration, and the subsequent rise of Palantir, the most well-connected data company in the United States. You see where we're going with this? Now, we have no proof of this, but I would be shocked if Dialogue wasn't a part of a larger network of data infrastructure on an international scale, seeking to consolidate high-up state and corporate information that would be inaccessible unless you're a part of a very select few. All the pieces are there. Hoffman being almost exclusively interested in data his entire career, and with a long history of straight-up ignoring data integrity and privacy concerns, to Peter Thiel being a co-founder of Palantir and his unparalleled connections to the Republican Party, everything leads to this being a strong possibility. And in my opinion, it's the most likely reason for Dialogue's existence. Of course, though, we cannot say for certain, and we don't know whether that information would be disseminated, sold, or kept secret. But what does Dialogue mean for us? There's a number of things we can take away here. The first being that the rich and powerful have a staggering level of class consciousness. Doesn't matter what their ideological dispositions are, their class standing comes before all else. I feel like there is a lesson there for everyone watching this video. The second is that the organizational capacity of people in these groups are vast. They understand that a network of billionaires and politicians is stronger than one. And that's a huge reason why corporations have chipped away at democratic procedure globally, and why wealth inequality is at its highest it's been in human history. But perhaps a positive, it's not hyperbole to say they are likely scared of normal people, hence their secrecy. Further compounding to this point, there's a reason why Peter Thiel supposedly has fled to Argentina, and has supposedly lessened his involvement in dialogue. That said, I don't completely buy the media narrative he's fully left the United States, or dialogue itself. Like the Epstein Files release, dialogue serves as another modern example that the powerful, wealthy, and politicians that exclusively represent them are well organized. They operate silently, are far more international than at any time in history, and are far different than the theater they present to the public. Thank you all for watching and making it to the end. Supporting this channel on Patreon and our site is the best way to allow us to cover certain topics and allow us to create riskier videos. I couldn't do this without our supporters though. With that, I want to give an extra big shout out to these supporters: Cedric Watman, Billy Egregor, Kevin Hoop, Alex Razzo, and Doktari. Thank you all for going above and beyond. I hope to see everyone in the next.